I mean, like, as you said, I can't really blame people for that because most of my life, I grew up in the city too. I had no idea how the fuck where crops come from. Crops come from Superstore or
Yeah,
Sobeys or Walmart now. Like, I'm kind of old enough to remember when they started getting into groceries, which dates me a little bit.
I
Um,
date you too. You're cute.
Rachel, object.
No, I'm fine with it.
Whoa, gay. You need to put me on something.
Gay.
Yeah. Fuck. But anyway, go on. You're talking about Walmart making you old.
You're listening to the Art and More podcast with your hosts, Nathan and BR. Nathan is a Canadian illustrator with a couple years of military experience, and BR is a British anarchist that moved to the States. Both are passionate shooters and community builders. Together, they run the Seaburn Art page. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to
Hello everyone. Welcome back to the Art and War podcast. Sorry I was gone last week. I did an all-nighter and then BR had to do all of that stuff himself. Anyways, what was that about blind people?
So, I wonder, have you ever seen an overweight blind person?
I have never seen an overweight blind person. I assume it's like because they can't see the food.
Yeah, that was my theory as well. Like, is it because they don't see the size of portion, so in their mind, like everything's like adequate, and they don't get the glutton? Like, I don't know. It's crazy.
I genuinely don't know. It's like, do other people have to feed them? If you're blind, how do you eat? Do you
really
just
think,
photosynthesize?
yeah, that's what those black glasses are. It's actually solar panels, and the blind want you to know this, but you don't actually have to feed them. Those black glasses are solar panels, and the cane is a grounding system, so they don't shock everything they touch.
Anyways, hello, welcome back to the Art and War podcast. We love blind people here, even though that they don't have to eat and they run at 100% peak efficiency. Today we have Nic and Rachel of Black Locust Designs and SO Expressions. They do our merchandise. They do stuff for the DoD. They wear all kinds of hats. And Nic, the first time we ever talked, you sent me a message and it kind of stayed with me. It's like, hey, we were listening to your show, and you're part of the reason that we started a small business. And I don't know if you actually said that or not, or if I'm just putting this together in my head because I have a really big ego. But that really stuck with me, and I wanted to talk to you about entrepreneurship, how you got to where you are, and kind of like what you do.
Yeah, that's 100% all made up in your head. I'm just kidding. The first few episodes of this whole show you guys got were very heavy into entrepreneurship, and I would listen to them while I was at my job that I just wanted to fucking eat a Glock at the whole time I was there. So I was like, worst case is I'm back at this hellhole, and so I actually that was right around the same time I married into my current family. That my father-in-law, he was running a machine shop for a long time, just sold their business and started up a small one, and his son didn't really show interest in picking up that trade, and he kind of asked me one day if I'd be interested in passing on his knowledge and stuff. And so I got started there as I was working on my current job, and then I got my first contract, and it was the same as my salary for 1 year. It only took me about a day to do. So I was like, fuck it, we ball. And I gave my job my notice. And I gave them my notice, and haven't really looked back. And now I'm doing all types of wild stuff. Anything from DoD parts. We're kind of a job shop. We do pretty much anything and everything. But DoD parts to air ride suspensions. We're dabbling into plastic molding, and also like duck decoys, kind of through a side project. There's also therapeutic beds. So it's like the world's your oyster, I guess. So you can do whatever you want.
So what cool stuff have you made? Like, I know that you've talked to a few like cool suppressor companies and whatnot, but I imagine working for the DoD. How do those contracts come about? Do you bid for them, kind of like in not Lord of War, War Dogs, that one?
Yeah, it's anyone can. Well, you have to have like a cage code and stuff, but anyone can bid on them and stuff. It's they have a couple different websites, but you bid on it, and it is. There's a lot of stuff you like. I can't talk about the actual products, but like like they'll send you, or they'll have like a brief description of whatever, and maybe like a print and yada yada yada, and then it's you'll submit your bid. Or some of the stuff finds us because our machine shop, it's just me and my father-in-law, and we can hold tolerances that people with employees that may not really care what they're making. It's harder for them to turn out these parts, and so they can pay us to do it cheaper than they can do it, and they obviously tack on more from our quote, but you know it's work finds you, and like if you do a good job, it's wild. I think Loveless was even talking about word of mouth, man. We don't do any marketing, and we're busy all the time.
I was going to say, like, there's so many businesses and everything else that I'm being exposed to through this world that I would have no fucking idea exists. None.
Yeah,
Like Aaron Lovelace, you guys, everything. If you didn't message me and we didn't start talking, I would have had no idea. And you have fingers in literally every pie. I've learned so much from you about machining and how this world works. It's kind of wild.
yeah, and I would say I am, but I'm not a machinist. I would still say I'm a novice, even though like I write my own programs, I make my own models and stuff. There is like the more time I spend with my father-in-law, the least like I think I know less. It's like the Overton window type, or not, Dunning-Kruger. Like the more you think you know, the less you know. The more you know, the less you think you know. That whole type of deal right there.
Yeah. The Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah.
I'm really curious as to kind of, and I kind of imagine you have a little bit of insight to this, what the state of American manufacturing is like, especially with things like metallurgy, CNC, everything like that. I know a lot of it's being outsourced to China, but what could you tell us about operating a machine shop this side of the world, and how is overseas machine shops that run on lower margins affecting you?
It is a very real thing. We had it wasn't even anything crazy. We were making a part, and it was like out of just normal standard aluminum, like 6061, nothing crazy. Making a part, polishing it, and sending it off, and we lost that small part to Taiwan because they could make that part, polish it, and ship it for cheaper than just our raw material cost. So
Jesus.
it's like a super real thing, but also thankfully a lot of places kind of, at least that we deal with, they see the value in having it made like next door, not really next door, but not across the ocean,
Like
and
this side of the world.
yeah, exactly. But it's super real, and I used to, like, when I first started machining, I was like, man, all these optics risers and scope mounts and shit. I was like, these guys are making a killing, because I'd see what the raw material cost was, and I've made a few, and I'm like, oh boy, now that my time is actually money, these prices make a hell of a lot more sense.
Yeah, it starts to make you look at things differently.
Yeah, 100%. Like, oh, go ahead.
Why don't I just get this like $10 clone Unity riser off of AliExpress, and then it comes in, and then I strip the optic screws in like 2 minutes, because torquing it more than 10 inch pounds, the steel threads go directly into just shitty aluminum. It's not that to keep those prices down. One, it's being done in a country where labor and machine costs are almost nothing, but two, corners are being cut.
Yeah, 100%. Or like, so Yeah, even like you mentioned Unity, you see that and you're like $200 for a fucking T2 mount. What are you guys, out of your mind? And
Yeah.
then you like try to copy it or fixture, like make your own, and you're like, oh wow, this is gonna take 3 operations. Each operation takes maybe like 5 minutes or 20 minutes on the high end, but the time moving those around and resetting like tools and stuff is like it. It definitely makes you appreciate that stuff, and like a lot of the things like I've tried to make myself or I have made, and I'm like, yeah, next time I'm just buying that.
Yeah. I remember talking to you about like how complicated things that you take for granted are, like small tooling passes, like small lightning cuts, and the amount of machine time or the complexity added to the tooling is kind of nuts.
Yeah, like those I don't know, the
We
red
talked
dot
about it.
mounts. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, those red dot mounts that go on top of the current wide use 30mm scopes uh, that we're prototyping for Frank.
Yeah.
They took like 30 something minutes, and that was even me utilizing our 5-axis. And it's
Yeah.
because a lot of the geometry and profiles I had to go through with like an eighth or 16-inch ball nose to make stuff look sexy and not like it was fucking I don't know, chopped away at. Because you got to think, a big portion of your tool, like your end mills and stuff, they only have like a very finite radius on the edge. You have to get for stuff to look smooth, you have to take passes with a full like radius ball nose to make stuff look okay. And you don't really appreciate that. I definitely didn't. I sometimes I still don't. Like, I love paint, and I just cut myself a whole brand new barrel for my 700 out of a barrel blank, and I was like, oh, maybe the $500 is maybe a little bit better, because you got to indicate at the front, indicate at the end, put a board like a gauge pin in, indicate your gauge pin, and then like start the whole thing over, because by the time you get like one end indicated in, you have to go back, check at the close to the chuck to make sure everything's straight. It's a lot of stuff you don't appreciate until you have to do it.
Yeah. That's kind of wild. I think that a lot of people, and there's kind of exceptions to this, where I see people making products out of 60, 65, or I'm not going to get started or call anyone out. GBRS group. Have you seen the McCloy implement? Fuck it, I'm going to call these guys out. They suck.
No. So what's they got?
I'm going to send it to you.
Okay.
It's a offset. It's like a 30-degree offset, top rail mounted. So when I say offset, it's like canted slightly to the right. Aim point mount. I think it's around $1,100 just for the mount.
Okay, those guys. Those guys are.
Have you seen it?
I know exactly what you're talking about now. Yeah, they're drinking their own Kool-Aid.
I thought it was a troll for the longest time, but I really don't think it is. Like their graphic design, their everything is very good. Like I'm looking at their website right now, and they have their branding down and everything, but holy fuck, it's $1,500.
Oh,
that's
God,
insane.
Yeah, that is insane. And like, so I just said, talking about Unity, but there are some where it is. I'm not saying you're paying for a name, because even they aren't really a name. They kind of get looked down on. But yeah, some people are drinking their own Kool-Aid.
Yeah, because that is wild. That is not a good intersection of like supply and demand.
No, and they make shit that like I would say is people will get it because they think it looks cool, but like even with nods, sometimes that over 2-inch like height over your rail is not that fun. It's like, so some of them, like they're that, what is it, the Hydra? Is that what it is? I think that kind of
2.5, I think, or 255.
Yeah, that makes sense on kind of like a K size gun, because it gets your laser towards not taking up your rail. But even then, it's
Yeah.
your deal. You have to like know your height over bore. Like you're gonna have like a 3-inch height over bore at least, and
Yeah. I don't
then
know,
like
dude. Aren't you privy to the knowledge transfer?
yeah, exactly, yeah. The I watched these shorts and stuff of these guys, clearing the room. So obviously, I know everything they know.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure like CQB is one of those really easy things where you just you can play Call of Duty and you can get it.
Literally, yeah. Like what is it called? Tom Clancy's Siege. You play like a
Yeah.
couple rounds of that, and
Oh,
all you
dude.
have to
Like
all you
I'm
have to do,
basically a SEAL now.
yeah, you just have to poke a hole in a wall and look through it with your ACOG and just wait for someone to walk by.
Dude, I played Rainbow Six Siege like 5 times, and now they give me a military discount at Kroger.
Yes. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
This week's episode is brought to you by Two Grunts Inc. Two Grunts Inc. is a veteran-owned and operated rifle manufacturer crafting firearms with professionals and prepared citizens in mind. All of their parts and components are developed, tested, and manufactured to perform using the most standard of mil-spec 5.56 ammunition. Purpose-built work guns is their motto, and rifles made to last is their ethos. With high-end components and materials used in all of their rifles, like their 4150 CMV nitride-treated barrels utilizing a 223 Wild chamber and a 1-in-8 twist, optimized for both M855 and M193 ammunition, achieving 1 MOA or better with most manufactured mil-spec ammos. Bolts made out of 9310 super alloy steel and carriers made from shot-peened 8620 steel, maximized for increased toughness, wear resistance, and strength. Each and every part has been meticulously thought out, deliberately tested, and expertly manufactured and installed. Each rifle also comes standard with a 45 or 90 ambidextrous fire controls, gas buster ambi charging handles, and many other high-end functional parts. Check out their website, twogruntsinc.com, that's TWO as in 2, and GRUNTS as in rifleman by trade, INC.com, to purchase one of their rifles, or other parts for sale. Use the code CBRN, that's Charlie Bravo Romeo November, to get $50 off your order. That's CBRN to get $50 off your order. Be sure to also check out their Instagram and YouTube at twogrunts_inc to learn more about them, their rifles, and their other products. Once again, that's code CBRN to receive $50 off your entire purchase at twogruntsinc.com. Thanks guys for listening. Now let's get back to the show.
I have some tan Loa boots, and I don't like flying with boots, but like if I'm going somewhere that needs them, like when I say I don't like flying with them, I just don't like them taking space in my bag. So I'll wear them through the airport, and then people are like, "Thank you for your service," and I want to just fucking shoot myself.
You should turn around and be like, "Oh, hello, thank you, welcome to Shewalk. This is."
Welcome to Shewalk. Can I take your order, please?
Oh, good luck, BR. This one's like, there is no real. We're just flowing with a stream of consciousness here. There's.
Yes, that's dude. That's like 90% of episodes. You know that.
Oh, I know. I'm an avid listener. It's either that or I get to hear 3,000 RPM in my ear.
Yeah. No, all it takes is to find like 3 good autistic rants, and you just fucking do it. You do it, and next thing you know, 2 hours, or in this case, like an hour and 20 minutes. Because if I don't bring lunch, I'm going to get domestically abused.
I've seen it,
but yeah, I think I'm going to start just rolling into it, because we had a guest a little while ago who I will. If you're a listener, you will probably recognize the bit, but Stolen Valor is just kind of fun, and you should do it. It's just kind of fun. Like, yes, you're welcome for my service.
Yeah,
I'd like that 15% off, please.
You think I liked watching my buddies die face down in Larpistan? You fucking.
In Call of Duty, I had to see that kill cam. It plays over and over in my head.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it was fucking double XP weekend. You have no idea.
Dude, my mind jumps to this is like an old throwback. This happened when I was like 18 or 19, like wet behind the ears, a fucking boot. I lost my military ID super early. Like I was walking back from the base to my house, and my wallet fell out of my pants. So I went back, and because it's a military bases are always in like the shittiest areas of town. And I
Yeah.
didn't have a car at the time, so I just like walked back through this bad area, and there's like three three individuals of a darker complexion just standing there at the corner. And because I'm 18 and stupid, I go up to them in this awful area, awful, and I'm just like, hey guys, did you see a wallet that fell on the ground? And it took me like 2 weeks to figure out they were shaking me down for more money. They're like, yeah, what are you going to do for me? You got some cash on you? Like, no, but I can give you a $10 coupon for Tim Hortons. That's all I got. Either way, I'm like 90% sure they found my wallet and stole it. But I had to like file a police report and shit to get a new military ID. Ugh, that was a long time ago. Either way, you're welcome for my service.
Yeah. I forgot you actually were in the military, so fuck you. I'm just kidding.
Yes, and I lost my first confrontation with 3 black dudes that probably took my wallet, but maybe I'm just being racist.
Yeah, that was the most action you've seen your whole time in the military.
I don't know, dude. I did play Call of Duty for a little bit.
Dude, those early Call of Duty lobbies were what made people
wild.
mad.
I learned entirely new like racist phrases. Funny enough, I've never really played an online game. Even until now, like never really got into it. I'd play Call of Duty with friends, like split screen, and then never really after that, apart from a little bit of Warzone during the pandemic. So
Yeah.
I think even this Valor I'm kind of stealing.
No, you earned it. The
I earned it. I was
Yeah.
there.
Was really the only time I got into it. I say that. I think Battlefield 3 was like the first game I really played hard.
Battlefield fucked. Honestly, Battlefield kind of fucks.
Yeah,
But
I think the newest
yeah.
one's pretty lame. But
the 2040 something? Is that even out?
Yeah, I think that came out like 2 years ago.
Dude, that shows you how far removed I am from the whole gaming scene. It's like I bought a copy of the new Dead Space remake, and I played it for about 20 minutes, and since then it's just been nothing. Guys in the Discord are like, "Oh, can you make a Minecraft server?" It's like I've never even touched Minecraft. I don't even know what that is. There's a man named Steve in it, and he's played by Jack Black, I think.
Yeah, it's I thought I was like, I didn't think I was ever like a tech guy or like I was like up to current trends, but compared to like a lot of people my age, I'm like a fucking Luddite. Like I'm lucky that I know how to use my phone.
Actually, same. And I just got a new phone. I moved to the new, and like every 5 years, I'll just move to the second newest iPhone. I'll just get like one factory refurbished, and it's like learning how to walk again. It's like learning how to drive, having never touched anything. So I moved from iPhone 11 to just like a secondhand 15, and I don't know what everything is. All of the buttons are just like one button off because the size is just slightly different. So I'll send people just giant streams of gibberish. But on the bright side, I can load Instagram again, so I guess like guides are going to come back now.
About time, you fucking slacker. Anyway,
fucking time.
That's how I get my military discount. I just spit jargon from those guides. Come on,
it's just like this is how you dig a hole.
Yeah, you're hurting me. I bought
you got to make a 2.5 squared foot water sump. But yes, no, that is how you steal valor appropriately. You don't just wear like secondhand M81 BDUs to Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, you got to get the. So I'm next to the Air Force Intelligence Base, so I got to get the secondhand Air Force camo from Americana Pipe Dream. Shout out, use code BR, add code. Anyway, you got to get the secondhand BDUs from them, and then I go to Cracker Barrel and get my free waffles or whatever the fuck happened.
Oh, dude. I remember like in the tail end before I left the military, some train company was giving free tickets to anyone with a military ID. So I just trained across the country for literally no reason. Um, and I think by the time I got back, one, I hated trains. Two, I hated the military for giving me the opportunity to hate trains. So yeah, I left.
The one autist who hates trains.
The one autist who hates trains. After spending a week like traveling across one of the second largest like political land masses in the world, I hated trains. Oh god, we got so off track so fast.
Speaking of trains, we got off track,
Off track. So this is kind of a technical question. We're going to get back on somewhat of a serious note, but this is going to affect a lot of people who fucking buy stuff. Can you just like very quickly explain the differences between like one, why aluminum's important, two, what is the better aluminum for like each like 60 65 or 70 75? I probably fucked that up.
It's
And
actually
like different types of
61.
anodizing.
Yeah.
6061. I totally got that right. Don't rewind. Don't fact check me. I'm pretty sure that's what I said.
You got it right.
6061, 7075, like type 2 and type 3 anodizing. What should people look for? Because this is something people I think are actually going to derive value from.
Yeah, so the main thing is hardcore anodizing. I think when was it
Yes.
Nick the Lefty? I think when he was on, he described it, which it was 100% correct. It's like a case hardening. It makes the outside of it.
Him and Ben, the gunsmith.
Yeah, they were 100% on their description on like what it does. Now, some people will get upset. I think most people that are buying stuff can get away with 6061. But 7075 is the superior one. But also, I'm calling bullshit on a few things that claim to be 7075.
Elaborate.
I've bought some things
from a machinist who claims he's not a machinist. Elaborate.
Yeah, well, so this is before. This was when I was like. Anyway, there are like certain things that I bought, like, and they weren't like super expensive, but a handguard that was supposedly like 70-75, and it was very buttery, like, we'll put it that way. Like, so like the different alloys, what they're mixed up of is what makes your your type of alloy. And a lot of them were acting like they weren't comprised of what 70-75 would be, without getting into like too much technical stuff, because it's kind of yeah sorry. But usually if stuff is
apologize.
Like soft,
this is kind of exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah, if stuff is like acting like soft and it deforms fairly easily, chances are you got gypped, buddy. And it sucks because everyone's out to make a buck, even like medium reputable people. And also they could be under the impression it's 70-75 and their supplier either dropped the ball or everyone's trying to make a buck, so I'm not blaming them, because it could have been a supplier thing. And that's where so a lot of manufacturing is pay to play, essentially. So they have a lot of like AS90 is like a material certification type thing, and then like ISO is a quality type thing, and all of those cost money to get those certifications. And I'm not saying that they're bad or anything like that, but you can have a dude who has ISO and AS90 100, and they could turn out a fucking dog shit part, and you could have two guys in essentially a pole barn with a couple machines turn out a grade A part that's down to tiniest fraction of what you're supposed to get. Everything's good, and they won't get something just because they didn't pay to play. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a racket. A lot of stuff's a racket, and me being anti-government makes me jaded towards these things. But a lot of the stuff is like,
Yes.
I know I'm sounding redundant, but it's pay to play, and it's very frustrating.
Can you elaborate a little bit on the racket part? Because now I'm curious. I want the fucking dirt. I have a little bit of dirt, which a company that I can't name, really big in the industry, makes slides and optic mounts and plates and kind of everything, has been caught not anodizing their parts properly many times, which is like one thing, but the other thing is like importing parts that were supposedly made in the USA from China.
That's dirty.
I'm just going to let a bunch of people message me, and then I'll not say who these people are. But the company begins with an S and ends with an Industries.
Sounds like
I want to know the dirt. Who?
Sounds like Ike Industries.
I didn't say anything. Don't listen
like
to me. We're a satirical podcast.
Yeah, literally nothing I've said is factual. I'm just making stuff up. This is actually all generated by Chat GPT.
This is entirely Chat GPT. This is Freedom Visualizations running two AI voice to text softwares directly off of a Chat GPT script.
Speaking of that,
procedurally generated podcast.
Yeah, speaking of Freedom Visualizations or whatever you just said, we are wearing a shirt, or Rachel is, that homeboy drew up for us of our deceased birds.
I fucking love that guy.
Yeah.
Yes. He's very good at drawing animals. Like, holy fuck, I can't. I tried to draw those chickens like 8 times, and he just does it in his first try. He has a painting of a cat right now. It's fucking wildly good.
It took him like 4 hours too.
Yeah.
I
don't understand it.
I reached out to him and I was like, yo, homie, can you do this? And he was like, I've never really drawn animals before. What type of style? I said, do whatever you want. And he sends us this like literally the next day. And I was like, the fuck? And then I tried paying him. This man will not take payment. So yeah, whenever I see him, I'm going to hold him down and I'm going to stuff a Glock in his mouth and I'm going to make him take it.
Yes. Good. Honestly, he needs that. He's too fucking nice.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, yeah. Wait, we need to censor.
That's all probably going to get cut. Fuck. Anyway. Yeah, Freedom Visualizations is a homeboy. He's cool. This is all satirical AI. Nothing's factual. But anyway, yes. Rackets.
Yes. I want to know. I want to know, like, what big parts of the manufacturing industry are just a fucking racket, like oligopolies, all of that.
It's hard to say because they make sense why they exist.
Yeah.
But big shops are generally the only ones that can afford them, if that makes sense. So there also is a new thing coming out for people that are going to be doing work exclusively with the government. It's a type of like cybersecurity thing. And it's for our shop to implement it, it would cost $80,000 to throw this implementation in. And that would just be us to continue our current business that we're doing. So just like let that sink in. That's on top of like the other type of certifications or whatever I've mentioned previously. And you know, I could be wrong. I'm also just a fucking idiot that lives in West Central Indiana. So it could not be a racket. But from my position, a lot of this stuff is dumb. Because, like I said, it makes small shops that necessarily couldn't afford it, that could turn out stellar parts, not even in the running because they're not going to, play the game.
That sounds like a lot of monopolies and just how basically everything in this country works, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're also
make it not a racket. Yeah?
Yeah, we're just gonna turn into Raytheon and eat our bugs and pods and
Yeah.
uh, kiss
I,
our
for one, love our
Costco lamp
corporate
at night.
overlords at Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, BAE Systems. We love you. Texas Instrument, you guys make killer calculators and definitely not bombs.
Yes, exactly. You can play Doom on a TI-88. That kind of reminds me, like, of all the people I know growing up in my hometown in Canada. The only guy I know that ever like went bought a house, is actually living the white picket fence American dream. Like, has a dog, has a child, has a wife. The only person I know that escaped that, even the guys I know that are like on paper doing well, live in like a little shitbox condo and drive, a 15-year-old car held together with zip ties. And these are the guys who are doing well. The only person I know who is objectively living the American dream is the guy who works for Lockheed Martin.
Oh, really? That's awesome. Kind of.
Yep, he was my godmother's son. He's doing well, very well. Asian kid with an engineering degree, so fucking course he's going to build bombs.
Yeah, literally. So, boys and girls, if you go to school to be a fucking rocket scientist, you're going to kill people no matter where you go. You're going to send them to space to die. You're going to engineer bombs to protect this instrument. You're going to go work for Raytheon. You're going to kill people. Just accept it and, send your soul away just so you can get those fat checks.
Accept it and you'll be happier. I haven't talked to the guy in a little while, but we grew up playing Halo together on split screen. I mean, he's probably like from what I heard from him and other people I know who kind of work in that industry, everyone's jobs are so fucking compartmentalized. You don't really think about the morality of it.
No, yeah, literally.
That being said, what do I know?
Yep. Yeah. No, literally, it's like kind of like, I hate to go back to like schizophrenic shit, but I'm schizophrenic myself.
No, dude, fucking do it. Do it. That's what we're here for.
Like the whole, like when Snowden blew the whistle, like his job was like this one thing, but the people next to him were working on this other thing, and he put the fucking pieces together, what was going on, and he was like, fuck. Yeah. Now he's living.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, that's the whole house of cards is like everyone's in their individual card, but if you look at it from the outside, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah. And there's other countries that are doing that same exact thing. So I have no real set emotions. I just I think shit's fucked, and it all happened when the Industrial Revolution came around, and its consequences have been disastrous to the human race,
It's been way too long since we fucking TED posted in here.
Yeah.
Genuinely. That was just the start of everything, As soon as we figured out industrial like machining, as soon as we invented the printing press, we should have just been restarted by fire. I've been reading this pretty good book series called, I don't know what the series is called, but the last book in it's called Pandemic, and it's basically about a virus that makes people turn on each other. Like it's hyper infectious, and anyone who gets turned immediately starts killing other people. But then the infected people start banding together and like creating their own anti-society with the sole goal of just wiping people out. And people who were smart before continue to be smart. If you use a weapon, you can still use a weapon effectively. It's actually really good. I don't know why. My mind just jumped to it. I kind of recommended it to people who are listening, who might be into kind of apocalyptic fiction. Don't expect it to be like Tom Clancy or anything. Say again?
Do they make a picture version? Because I can't read.
I also can't read, so I'm listening to it on Audible. I kind of lied when I said I was reading to.
I'm trying not to die. Our dog just coughed all over Rachel's face.
You're infected now.
Yeah, Rachel. So the book is essentially about people that are going to call the cops on their neighbors because they're not staying 6 feet away. And then they get radicalized by the news and then just start fucking throwing bricks at stuff.
Dude, like so much of it got so weirdly specific to COVID and all of that. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, was this a political statement? And then I looked at it, and the last book in the trilogy came out in fucking 2014. Like, oh, okay.
No, they
But
just their handler gave them the files a little bit too soon, and they couldn't handle it.
yeah.
By the way, kids, if you buy
was like
aluminum powder and fertilizer, you can do anything.
exactly, but don't buy too much of it at the same place. Otherwise, you'll end up on a watch list. Spread it out and do those purchases in cash.
All the addresses you need are public domain.
This is a satirical podcast. Do not actually listen to us. Do not do this. You will get put into a van.
We're joking, I promise.
They aggregate all the data on people buying too much stuff at one point at a time. So, oops. I'm
actually a fed op, and my brain is plugged into a computer, and they're telling me what to say.
Same. You know those like 3 women in a big vat in the Tom Cruise movie? What was it? Minority Report. That's us.
I am not the person you want to use pop culture stuff with. The only movies I've ever seen before I met my wife were Men in Black and Starship Troopers. So,
yeah, I mean, if you're going to watch just 2 movies, those are pretty good.
Yeah. I had a pretty awesome childhood, and I was forced to spend all my time outside. So it is a blessing and a curse.
I mean, that's pretty based, and I find that's kind of how you get the best people, I want to say. Likewise, growing up, I was kind of like a nerdy kid who just wanted to play video games and stuff. But my family forced me outside, and as an adult, I'm just like, thank you, parents, for like making me do all these outdoor activities and like doing all this stuff and not giving me soft drinks.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny in retrospect. But that being said, I did watch a ton of movies. This kind of dates me a little bit. There was a movie rental place kind of near where I lived that eventually they just got to know me and they'd let me rent whatever the fuck I wanted, which probably explains a little bit about how fucked up I am.
Man, he's spending a lot of time in the blacked out portion of the store.
Like, what's this, little Nathan? You want to rent Star Wars? Okay.
Yeah. Revenge of the
Saving Ryan's Privates.
Yeah. Oh gosh, this is gonna be an interesting.
No, I was too autistic for women. I just rented like a lot of really fucked up war movies for the most part, and that kind of probably explains how I turned out the way that I did.
Yeah, I can relate to that one.
Yeah, it's like
100%.
Being like 9 years old and watching Full Metal Jacket and being like, Private Pile kills himself and you just eat a bite of popcorn and you're like, yes, this is good.
Yeah, and then you discover live links because your cousin shows you this stuff, and then you're desensitized to watching people like die in first person.
Yeah. Oh man, I feel like that's actually kind of like, and I feel a little alone in this because like almost everyone that I know through this world kind of had that experience of just like watching people die on the internet. But it always kind of made me a little sad, so I never really got into that. Like I always kind of avoided it.
Yeah, I didn't get into it too much, and also like I love hunting, but I'm the biggest fucking pussy when it comes to harvesting animals. It makes me sad. But like, we don't waste anything, so then like, that's how I feel. If I was a little bit more of a pussy, I probably wouldn't eat meat, but
yeah,
I'm a man, so fucking red meat forever or die.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like I think it's I don't want to say it's important to feel a little bit of empathy, but it's kind of good that you do.
No, definitely. And also I will caveat this, I harvest probably 60% of our meat for the whole year. I don't buy it from a store, so there's a lot more.
I love that self-sufficiency.
There's a lot more weight that comes to processing and harvesting an animal yourself, or like growing. Like we have meat birds and stuff. growing your
Yeah.
birds and processing them and stuff instead of like, you know, instead of getting it from a store that's a faceless entity, and then your kids
Yeah.
think, oh, meat comes from Walmart. Like,
Yeah.
no, meat comes from a fucking cow.
Yeah. I think that's important. Like having it kind of drives me wild when people of any generation, like older, younger, whatever, they don't really appreciate where food comes from, or like how like I hate when people just like throw away meat. That's always been a really big pet peeve of mine. Like you buy a steak and you just like throw half of it out. Like I love eating meat. I that is one thing I will never give up. But I always get a little bit sad when someone just like throws half of a steak away for no reason. Like they just don't want it anymore, or like they just let it go bad in the fridge, which I've been guilty of in the past. But it's like, this animal fucking died for you, dude. I'm not a bleeding heart by any means. Like I have a very protein based diet, but I don't know. It's something that's never really sat right with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely 100%. That's like the same thing. Like I eat a lot of protein. Like my wife just made soup and I was upset because there was no meat in my meal besides the bacon in my sandwich. Like,
it rounds off a meal.
Yeah, literally. Like, but at the same time, like I was saying before, like ours, I know where our stuff's coming from, and like the meat that we don't take care of ourselves, we get from a local farmer that has cows. So like I see,
you have ownership of all of the meat that you eat.
Yeah,
you know 100% where it came from.
Yeah, and it's wild. Like there was someone that was over. So West Central Indiana, boys and girls, if you're not from here, there's a shitload of corn and bean fields. So there was someone that came over not that long ago to help me out with something, and we were at the shop, and it was like right next to a cornfield. And
shout out to Lays the Discord.
Yeah, but he asked me. No, this is not throwing shade at all. He grew up in like a super like city area, and so it's a time of year.
You can't blame people for like the culture of where they were raised.
Yeah, 100%. But he was legitimately confused on why the crops are brown right now instead of green. They have to die and dry out before they can be harvested. But he was like, legitimately, he's like, so is this whole field supposed to be like dead? And I was like, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But also, West Central Indiana, a lot of your corn and shit doesn't actually go to food. It goes to other stuff. Look it up. It's wild. You'll never look at crops the same.
Yeah. Like it's... I mean, like, as you said, I can't really blame people for that, because most of my life, I grew up in the city too. I had no idea how the fuck, where crops come from. Crops come from Superstore or Sobeys or Walmart now. Like, I'm kind of old enough to remember when they started getting into groceries, which dates me a little bit.
I date you too. You're cute.
Rachel, object.
No, I'm fine with it.
Whoa, gay. You need to put me on something. Yeah. Fuck. But anyway, go on. You're talking about Walmart making you old.
Honestly, that was kind of the end of my train of thought in that regard.
Yeah.
Like it took me to getting to my adulthood and like volunteering and working on a farm and doing all that stuff as a grown-ass adult to appreciate more the heritage of my food and kind of how that whole situation works. I didn't even go hunting really for deer anyway until last year.
Yeah, that's another thing. Every year I have a goal to take someone new out in the woods and hunting. The same thing, like all my close friends I've taken shooting or they go shooting on their own. So I can't really do that anymore. Like everyone's already doing that. Yeah. But so my new goal as I've been an adult, especially with property now, is to take someone new out in the woods. And I took a guy I used to work with. I take his daughter whenever she would show up. Like he would bring her.
She's a teenager.
Yeah, so she would sleep in. She would be like, she'd want to go until it's time to wake up, apparently. But anyway, I take her out hunting till she, like, for her to get her first animal, and I've done that for a few other people. And this year, I'm going to take a couple other guys out for their first time. And
I think that's really good of you.
No, it puts, like I was saying before, perspective, and then it also, like, it's just good for your dude. I've had some of my, like, besides like marrying my wife and everything, I've had some of like the best moments of my life, like just sitting there watching like chipmunks chase each other, or like a gray squirrel holler at like the other gray squirrels that there's a hawk nearby, and just like appreciating like what's going on. And it's magical. If you can get out there and hunt, get out there and like spend time in the woods, and don't just be like destructive. Just like let it happen. Let what's going on out there happen and soak it in. It's wild.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Like getting people into that. I think I view shooting kind of the same way. I said this like a year ago, but I would really like to reiterate it and kind of hammer this home. I'd like people who are listening to this to just like find someone who probably wouldn't do this on their own and take them shooting. And I don't mean like put a fucking 3-inch slug 12 gauge into their hands and like laugh as they fall over. I mean, like, go make sure they have fun. Go do a range day, like a public gravel pit, or
yeah.
So
I'll let Rachel take the mic for a bit. She has an awesome story, and it was a pain in the ass to get her to start shooting again, because she was traumatized.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Yeah, here.
Oh, okay. So anyways, when growing up, my family used to have like just random get-togethers and just start shooting, just like usually pop cans or whatever. And when I was in 8th grade, my grandpa was like, Rachel, shoot this gun. And it was just this big handgun. Nick knows what it is.
It was a Thompson Center Encore, like 308 handgun.
Yeah.
So 8th grade me, I have like zero muscles or anything. And I didn't realize that my dad was like going to help me hold the gun up. And so I just stuck my arms out there and I shot at a pop can, and my arms weren't like locked out or anything. And the recoil was so bad, it just came back and hit me between my left eye and my nose. So I
That's
just
awful.
dropped the gun, and like everything went black for a second, and then everything started coming back in color, and I could hear ringing. And I remember just like facing the ground and blood just pouring out of my face. And my parents and my aunts and uncles were like running towards me and like had to rush me back to my grandparents' house. And I was in color guard with the marching band, and it was like
nerd.
Yeah, it was like a week before our state finals. And as they're cleaning me up, I'm just like, can I perform at state this weekend? But after that, like,
that sucks.
Yeah, I did not want to shoot a handgun at all after that. And I still struggle with like shooting one now. I'm getting a little bit better at it. But yeah, I'll shoot a couple times that are pretty good, and then I'll start getting shaky and start like pulling it back.
Yeah, she's your average low and right whenever she starts the process. She's shooting a handgun.
Yeah.
I hate when people do that. I hate when people are like, yeah, let's go shoot. I'm going to be really toxic and put something into your hands. It's going to hurt you, traumatize you. And then like, oh, well, you're a pussy if you don't like it. I've said this on the show before. Like, so story time. We have kind of like a weird, and I talk all the time about how like Idaho doesn't really have homeless people. We've got one, and or maybe he's new, maybe he's not. There's like the town homeless guy, but he's been getting a little weird and vagranty lately, and he's confronted both myself and now my next door roommate, who's like a 22-year-old girl. and he kind of aggressively confronted her at 2 o'clock in the morning outside while she's walking her dog. She came back and talked to her fiance and me, because they know I'm into this stuff, like, hey, I want to get a fucking gun, because that was scary and I didn't know what to do. And he saw me walk home and into my house. I like what to do in that case. And I replied with, okay, like, if you want and you're serious about this, tomorrow let's go to the local gun store and we'll find you a handgun. Like, if you really want to, there's no pressure, and then I'll take you out to go shoot it. So her and I went to our local gun store and she bought us the sensible option, a Glock 48. And then I took her to a gravel pit and we just shot it. And like, before she even shot her gun, I'm just like, hey, try this 22. All right, cool. You like a 22? Here's like a heavy 2011 that is like very comfortable to shoot. Cool. You like that? Here's a competition Glock. And then like moved her way there until it's not even like putting a fucking 500 Smith & Wesson in her hands. Like, I worked her way to subcompact, because even like shooting a Glock 43 for the first time for a new shooter is probably going to be a little uncomfortable. But because she started on a 22 and worked her way there over the course of not even that long, like 15 minutes, by the time she got to her Glock 48, she was like 10 round groupings through the same hole at 10 yards, which for her first time ever shooting a handgun was pretty fucking good. And building that comfort and that confidence at the beginning, I think, is the most important thing you can do with a new shooter. And I've kind of been following that formula for the last couple years, and people stay when you do that. They don't stay when you just put a gun that's kind of uncomfortable to shoot, because like, what's comfortable for you and what's comfortable for them are two totally different things. Like, if you freak someone out and they're going to expect pain and a flash and like discomfort the first, like, every time they shoot, you've ingrained that experience into them. And like that's not something that goes away very easily.
Yeah, 100%. That's it's also gonna like get them training scars super easy, especially like you were saying, like how you start with a 22, a super pleasant gun, and like, so I shoot a decent amount. I don't like, I'm not like saying I shoot like more than anyone. I shoot a decent amount, like in between. I normally carry so my handgun is a Glock 19, but it has the long slide, so it's essentially a 17 with a 19 grip. And I carry
so
that.
like Glock 49 kind of.
Yeah. And I carry that, and I shoot it often. I shoot a full size SIG often. Every once in a while, like when I go back to Rachel's, because she has a 48, when I shoot her 48, I have to take like a mag or two to like reprogram myself on how to manage that recoil, because I'm kind of cheating the game a bit with my kind of more manageable guns. And like, so like you also, for us, she can't shoot that well because she has small hands. So she can't really wrap her hands all the way around. So like I have to go back and realize whenever, because also another thing, I'm good at teaching other people and I'm pretty good at teaching her, but you also got to realize, because like you expect them to perform to your level or better because you like have an emotional attachment to them. And so you have to kind of take a step back and be like, okay, she's in this realm. You got to open up your like what's acceptable, and like kind of remember what she's going through when she's shooting that. Because like if you're shooting your Glock 17 all day long and you're stacking them in there at the 10-yard line or wherever you're at, and you know your wife or buddies over there shooting something that's not necessarily that, and they're grouping a little bit worse, like you got to understand, one, if you're going to be a dickhead about them shooting bad, they're not going to want to shoot anymore. So
exactly.
Yeah,
like
well,
ego.
also like
I think ego and competitiveness turns people off.
100, yeah. And one of the funniest things, this isn't really the same. This is kind of like opposite end of the spectrum. So at my local range, it's like a really nice range. And by nice, I mean it has like a lot of stuff ranges don't have. It has a 360 berm. It has multiple pistol steel bays that go from 17 yards all the way to 7 yards. It has like 2 gun area. It has steel out to 500. So like I'll be shooting and I'll be next to people and they'll be like, "Oh, what?" Because like I'm close to a couple military bases. There's a lot of law enforcement around here that go to that range, and they'll automatically assume like I'm in some type of military group or law enforcement because I'm shooting like a lot better than them. And
That's so fucking funny.
yeah, it's they'll say something, be like, "Nah, I just come here like every weekend," and they're like,
Yeah.
"Wow, you're shooting really good. Have you ever thought of?" And I was like, "Nah, I don't."
Yeah, no, that's gay.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't want
trust.
my boss to be the government.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
I feel the same way. And I actually find, and like this might make some people poopy, but this doesn't necessarily apply to them. Um, so, like, I'm not the best shooter in the world. I'm okay. But I teach people handgun, as on a volunteer basis sometimes. And I shoot, like, okay. Like, but the hardest people, without a doubt, okay, the second hardest people, so I guess there was a doubt, to teach are people who are current or former law enforcement or military, because they have such a good idea in their head on how to shoot, and they're usually taught wrong. There's
yeah,
exceptions to that. There's some like people in military and law enforcement who fucking clean up, but generally those people are people who shoot on their own time because they like it, not people who are just taking like institutional training. Um,
yeah,
and because you're deprogramming all of these like really deep set ingrained habits, and usually there's an element of ego involved, which is like, because I did X, because I was in so and so sheriff's department or PD, or oh, I was combat arms, I trained with intog, or like, cool, like you got a qualification because you could shoot your issue Beretta all right. Well, you still have an 8-second build drill, so I don't know what to tell you.
yeah. Uh,
And like the first the first hardest people to teach are old people who've been shooting their whole lives, because they really don't want to fucking hear it. They really don't want to fucking hear it, and they have like 12-second build drills. Sorry, you were saying?
oh no, that reminds me of a guy I used to work with, and he he was in the military, but he was overseas. I don't remember uh what he actually did or anything. And this isn't like really throwing shit on what he did, but he was bragging about getting to train with the Green Berets when they first
Yeah.
came over. And so in my brain, because I have an idea of all this stuff, because I I have a bunch of military in my family, and so like the only reason why I didn't join the military because I was going to like 18, 19. My cousin who's a TAC P told me not to. But
Yeah, that's
anyway,
the funniest thing.
yeah. But this guy was bragging about getting trained or getting to train with the Green Berets, and I was like, "You realize you were the test that they gave the Green Berets before they had to train people that don't even speak a common language. Like you
Yeah.
you were the limits test to make sure that these guys could convey how to do like normal stuff to the ARA."
Yeah, that's so fucking funny.
And like he may
God.
have been, I hate being like that, but like he was definitely like you would ask him questions and he didn't know like normal things. Me just not even actually being in the military knew, like certain things that this guy should know, and he'd be like, "Oh, I don't remember. That was however many years ago." Like, okay, bud.
That's I feel like there is, especially with like a lot of military guys, especially like the whole boot thing. People build their identity around it, and that's really really common, I think, with 18, 19 year olds, or even early 20s that like don't really know any better. The military absolutely cultivates it too. It's like, yes, you are the best of the best, and you have like the best training in the world for X thing, and you are better than the gen pop for Y thing. I love the fact that he just told you no, fuck it, like don't do it, don't do
Yeah,
it.
he
And
literally told me, he was like, if you're gonna go in, make sure you get something that'll help you after you're out because Uncle Sam doesn't give a fuck about you, is what he told me.
yeah,
And I was like, thank you. Because, I was, you know, medium brainwashed straight out of high school. And, it's like what those people fucking feed for. Uh, I did all the sports, not really all, but I did like wrestling and track and stuff in high school. So I was built good. I had the mindset that a lot of these recruiters look for. And it was like I was like I sent him questions and he pretty much just told me that and I was like, thank you.
yeah. That is, man, the military culture here is so wild compared to Canada. Well, in Canada, it's like where they give you like a rifle manufactured in the early 1980s, and they basically tell you to go shove. Here, there's actually recruiting centers and whatnot around, and recruiters will text you. They will text you. It's so foreign
they didn't have
to me.
that in Canada.
No, not at all. You had to actively kind of like seek it out.
So they would come to our high schools and set up during our lunchtime, and like they would like not necessarily bully, but they'd like see the kids that were like in shape, and they'd be like, "I bet you can't do however many pull-ups on this bar," and they like had
Oh
their own
man, that's
bars.
predatory.
Yeah, and like so they'd get them set up, and then you know a couple dudes after high school got some really sweet sports cars. you know, they got their bonus and bought their Mustang, Camaro, Charger, whatever you want to call it. It's literally it's a stereotype because it happens.
That's so fucking funny, and it's true. It's absolutely true. It's like it's predatory towards like dumbass 16-year-olds who have an ego and don't really know any better. You have these grown-ass men being like, hey, bet you can't do this, bet you can't go die for insert country, bet you can't go die for like foreign interests. The more I think about that, the more upset it makes me.
Yeah, you
won't go too far down
oil.
that hole.
Yeah, you want to be able to get oil to drive your car? Go fucking die in the Middle East, you piece of shit. Oh, I love, I have mad respect to all those people because they did something I couldn't do, and I definitely get the attitude that 100%. They have. It's like, because you don't want you don't want a bunch of pussies going in to fight a war for your country. You want those guys that are kind of stuck to what they believe is good and true. And I'm not talking shit about it, but it's once you have a couple degrees of separation from it, it's wild what they can fucking trick people into due to ego.
Yeah. It's really wild. And I was tricked as well. I feel like a lot of my friends are military. A lot of my friends are former or very few current. I think that kind of like speaks to my age, but it also speaks to me that most of the people I know left as soon as they could have. Very few people are career, except for the people who kind of like went over that hump where they're kind of waiting out the days until they can get their pension and retire to the Philippines or something.
Yeah.
Like get a ranch in the middle of nowhere.
That's the dream, man. I'm moving as close to that as I can think I can get. I got a handful of acres, a shitload of birds, a couple dogs, a wife, and hopefully in a year or so, a couple kids.
Yeah.
Like, I got a backhoe too, so want to come catch some. This is all satirical. I swear I'm joking.
This is all of this is satirical. If you take a single word of this as actual fact, you're probably gay. Fed.
Yeah. Your wife has a boyfriend.
Oh man.
I'm so sorry. This has probably been like the worst episode ever.
I actually like it. It's kind of a fun little schizocast. where we did like probably. I wanted to talk about manufacturing and starting your own small business. We did a little bit of that, but the rest of it is just fucking
No, we did not
streams
do
of
any of
consciousness,
that.
which is exactly what I said it would be. So I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
You want to talk about the
but I
Jews?
guess you can't do that, Mossad. Mossad
Oh,
is
yeah.
listening.
Oh shit, dude! They're gonna fucking blow up my mic.
Dude, like 2 IWI reps are going to knock on your door with Tavors and just turn you into fucking Swiss cheese. That being said, since I only have a few minutes before I get domestically abused for not providing my homemade beef and broccoli, I am going to get us back on track for just a minute. I want you guys to talk about what's some advice you'd give people for starting their own business. What's some advice you'd give people to like break away from the chains of being employed by having a boss? Like what would you say to younger you before you both started your own gigs?
One of the main things that I still even struggle with today is your time is your time. It's valuable. Don't do things. So if something's going to take you 30 minutes or 3 hours, it's going to be the same rate. Don't put something that, even though you might think it's trivial, at a cheaper cost per your labor because of, like you think it's trivial or you think it's whatever. It's taking up that much time that you could be putting towards something that would be a higher payday. But also at the same time, be realistic. Don't think your time's worth $1,000 when in reality it's like 150. There's also so there's that, and then there's nothing more liberating than your labor turning into which it does when you work for someone else. But like you being responsible for your own paycheck, it's insane.
Yes.
You have so much more gratification, and I don't know, it just makes you feel good. Like there's like I guess getting a paycheck normally makes you feel good, but like that it's because it's you and not because of some conglomerate or unfaced entity is just giving you a sympathy check because you made them quazillion dollars and they gave you 10.
Yeah. Not to be a commie because communism is gay. I don't want to be like, oh yes, maintain the fruits of your labor. The worker does that. It's like, no, know what your time is worth.
Yeah,
And,
100%.
if you don't want anyone else to exploit that, you can, like, we live in a land of opportunity. You can take 100% of what you're worth, and you don't owe anyone anything. Like, if you want to start your own business, you can just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Like, there's not enough time. There's not enough money. Let's like make that time, make that money, make a plan.
Well,
Like, the only thing that hurts you is stagnation.
Yeah. One of the things that Loveless touched on, and I freaking cannot preach this enough, is once you are not on a pay clock like you are when you're working somewhere, you realize how much time you have to make like money. It's insane.
Yes.
And like there's people I wish I could have been that can like kind of like pull from both for a while before they jump off. But I have fixed things. When I'm obsessed with something, that's all I can think about. So I can't juggle.
That's because we scored pretty similar on the RADS test, dude. It's hyperfixations can be weaponized.
Yeah, dude, hyperfixation's real.
No, you're okay. BR will fix this. So it's like all of the little things BR can fix because he's good at his job. I love you, BR.
I love you, BR. You're handsome.
This motherfucker and his wife showed up to the Seaburn fucking Art and War meet and greet and helped us run it. Thank you very much for that. It was very much needed. With spinny propeller caps with your rad scores embroidered in them, which is the coolest fucking thing, and a puzzle piece AUG, which is also the coolest thing. But before we wrap up, which one, I think that's fantastic advice. But before we wrap up here, I would like you both to show yourselves and what you do, because I feel like we haven't really talked about it other than a kind of nebulous, yes, I make parts, which I realize you also can't really talk about a lot of those parts. But also if someone here, as this has happened, is like, hey, I have an idea for a product, or they already run a company that needs something specific. Maybe they could go to you for something. So what do you do?
All right, I'm Nick. I have Black Locust Designs, which is just an LLC I made for my machine shop endeavors. And I can do anything from automation to helping you with CAD models to prototyping parts, giving quotes for existing stuff you're already running. Pretty much do any type of not any type, anything for your normal manufacturing that you would need, like metal parts. I'm not doing injection molding and stuff, but
Yeah.
any type of normal manufactured, subtractive, not additive manufacturing, any type of subtractive manufacturing, I can help you out, or at least talk to you for a little bit, waste a little bit of both our times. Uh, and then here is Rachel.
Okay, I'm Rachel, and I have SO Expressions. It's me and my mom, and we make different merchandising for companies. So we'll be doing the shirts and everything for PP.TF. And,
OCL, shout out
yeah,
Otter Creek.
Otter Creek
Yes,
Glass.
and us.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll be actually sending a second restock to Otter Creek Labs here in like the next month.
I love the fact that you're doing their shirts. I just got a package from them with some of the shirts that I've designed for them, and they're great. They're fantastic. You did a good job.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And Seaburn once we get the site figured out. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. Yeah, you guys are taking over the site end of Seaburn, which I really appreciate. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I do not know. So Rachel and SO Expressions are going to be running our back end and our shirts. If any of you guys listening to this have shirt ideas or anything else, we've basically outsourced everything to Rachel, and she's doing a fantastic job. As you can probably tell if you are familiar with Otter Creek, she's doing all their stuff too. So
they're getting 2 new limited designs in this next run, so this will be fun.
Yes, are they the cars? Because I did those.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. He sent me the message like, "Hey, can you do these designs? It's gay boomer art," and he was right. I think it was yeah, but they were kind of fun. I think there's 2 more of those coming pretty soon.
Yeah. Dude, Andrew is like, I've had like very minimal interaction with him, but he is like one of my favorite people to interact with. He's so silly.
Dude, he's fucking hilarious. Last time I was at Stockpile, I just sent him. I think just abuse. Someone behind the counter was just like, "Hey, call him a gay faggot or something," and I texted that to him. He took it weirdly well. But yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for coming on. We're going to consider this part 1 of our Schizocast, as this will happen again. I'm sorry for having to cut short. I owe some beef and broccoli to someone who will hurt me if I don't get out the door basically right now. But yeah, thank you again. It's Black Locust Designs and SO Expressions. Nick and Rachel, I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate you so much. Also take care of your wife because she's your better half.
Tell her I said hi.
Yes.
Oh, I was speaking in general.
I mean, tell everyone's wife I said hi.
Yeah. Gay.
Okay, bye.